Hello.
Hello.
To you live from Lagos, Nigeria. You want to go first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So basically, this session is talking about our transition from being entrepreneurs to entrepreneurs. So Salihat and I were twins. Yes. And I trained as a civil engineer, and Salihat trained as an architect. And the idea was for us to set up a business together and work together in the construction industry. And then we graduated from school, and I got a job in an oil firm in Nigeria, which of course derailed me from my construction goals.
Well, to be fair, somewhere along the line, we just sort of got into our individual professions. I started off at a property development company, and then I decided to pursue my profession properly and go into architecture. So I got employed at one of the biggest and oldest firms in Nigeria. And then we just got sucked into the whole big dream of being part of a big organization, growing within it and essentially chasing a strong career path
within an organization that was not started up by us. Mm-hmm. But Salihat and I guess maybe this is one of the perks of being a pair. You have it gives you courage to explore different options. So we tried all kinds of things. We've done a stress management camp. We tried to start up a magazine. Mm-hmm. We've done interior decor. We've done
general contracting.
We've done procurement. We tried to do retail.
We tried to act.
We're trained singers. So we're multi-talented, multi-skilled. And so after about 10 years, 10 years of working within the same organization, I caught the bug first, where I decided, okay, you know what, I think I'm done with where I'm at and I want to explore new options. And it didn't help that I guess this is now a dysfunction of being a twin. So I was moved to Port Harcourt and Salihat was in Lagos, and it didn't help that I was traveling every weekend.
The distance wasn't
helping, conducive for our relationship. So,
but I have to add though that this has been long coming, because as far back as when we were 9, 10,
yes.
We actually started a fashion company, quote unquote.
So my father's brother printed complimentary cards that said, Chairman, fashion designing something. I can't remember.
It was called Fashion Designing Gems.
Yes, Fashion Designing Gems.
And it was Salamat, myself, and a friend of ours, who happens to be an entrepreneur now, by the way.
And we would sit at the dining table and just sketch clothes. And that was our business. And the idea was one day when we finished from university, we'd make clothes. And so anyway, cut to
let's come back to the topic. So we're talking about transitioning from being intrapreneurial to being entrepreneurial. So what's the difference, really? Some people would probably like to know.
Okay, so an entrepreneur is someone that is pursuing their career goals within an already set up organization. So they didn't start the organization, but they're helping the founder of the organization or the management of the organization meet their corporate goals, their corporate objectives.
Right. Like Facebook.
Like Facebook with Sheryl Sandberg and Mark Zuckerberg. So Sheryl Sandberg would be a career entrepreneur.
And Mark would be the visionary. So he's the entrepreneur because he started the business.
Exactly. So in our case, so the motivation for us really, for me, at the point I was at was boredom. I was bored and I wanted more challenges, and I just felt like I could do better on my own. And so I came out of paid employment with Nigeria LNG, which is where I was employed, and I set up a gas plant where I started retailing cooking gas. And Salihat has a more interesting story.
Well, I'd have to say that it fell into my laps quite literally. So I was very happy within my organization. I rose to be the youngest member of the executive board of the company. And while all this was happening, I developed an affinity for a certain kind of fashion, which is modest wear. I had some work in Beirut for a while, and I fell in love. I fell in love with what they were doing in terms of fashion and all of that, and it was something that I thought to do for myself, just sort of refine my personal style. And then over time, it just sort of spiraled or snowballed into making things for people, connecting myself with suppliers, and basically the fashion industry. I was just sort of sucked into that as well. So what started as a hobby now started growing quite organically. And at a point, I just thought, hey, I'm doing well in architecture, and that's fine, but this thing is just growing, and I really want to be there for it. So it's it became a pregnancy that I had to deliver, So that's pretty much how I got, so basically it was just this kind of, should I say, unconscious transitioning. And it was almost as if, no, I'm still an architect, and I'm still, in that entrepreneurial state. But I didn't know, to be honest, when I became an entrepreneur.
What was important at this point was to understand that we had also, within the corporate organization, developed skills that enabled us to be able to set up companies on our own. So I had worked in HR for about 3 years. I worked as a project engineer, as a team lead as well, for a project that we're working on, a site project. So a lot of all these supervisory, not managerial, because I wasn't that high up, but supervisory roles kind of prepared me to manage a small team of my own. And so Salihat as well, rising to the position of executive director, training people that were under her, engaging with clients, the marketing side of things, getting paid, negotiation, all those skills were skills that we developed that we needed to set up a business.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, we didn't even know we needed for this.
So, it's one of those things where, I griped and I moaned about being in HR, but I say to everyone that cares to listen that the most important lessons I've learned for starting my business or running my business, I got them from being in HR.
Right.
Everything else, so problem solving, troubleshooting, thinking on your feet, those I learned from being on a project. But in terms of the day-to-day running, the operations of a business and structure and the steady hand that is required in the rough waters of entrepreneurship, where everything is so uncertain, and really every day is pretty much a challenge and a dare, and you just have to go at it. You have to provide a stable kind of environment for your staff so that they can thrive as entrepreneurs within your entrepreneurial environment.
So we want to talk about, and in the long run, really, when people talk about entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship, to be honest, the goals, the success goals are they're equally important. They're equally grand, as grand as you make it, So just because one person is an entrepreneur doesn't mean that the entrepreneur is not successful or is not bold or is not, is not, what's the word? The person is not goal oriented or isn't, adventurous. Let me put it that way. I think at the
end of the day, measures for success are unique.
Yeah.
They're equally important.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we for the last few years in Nigeria particularly, we've had this emphasis on entrepreneurship and how it's the cool. Entrepreneurship just
it became a thing. It became the cool thing to do.
And I argue with that a lot, because there are people that they just don't have the skill set to be entrepreneurs, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody cannot start a business, because who then works in the business?
Right.
I work in a gas plant. I cannot be visioning and filling the gas and delivering the gas and doing the maintenance and driving the vehicle. I can't do all of that.
And guess what? That's one of the challenges that even I've found transitioning, because you go at it alone. And there's this rude awakening that you're in this thing alone, for starters, because you're the visionary, you're the starter, It's not like when you were in an organization and everybody had their individual roles. So it was like a team effort. You now have to convene the team. You now have to start develop the templates and all of that. It can be daunting. I'm not going to lie.
And so what I found was one of the pitfalls that I encountered when I first started was, especially if you come from a big organization where everything is sorted and everything is organized and the processes are set, and they just have their way of doing things, and it's difficult for you to then scale down to the point where, as an entrepreneur, you need to bootstrap, you need to think lean, you need to improvise a lot. You tend to overspend if you are not careful on things that are not necessary at the point your business is at. So I tell people that a business idea evolves into a company over time. So the fact that you registered your idea in CAC and you've employed one person, yes, literally you are a company, but in real life,
in real terms,
you're still in
zygote, and you need to trust the process. That's an important thing to do.
Yes,
you need to trust
so
the process.
you also need to be realistic about who your competition is, because one of the things that I found, and this was, now that I think about it, quite silly. I felt like I had a point to prove. When you leave an organization that's a good employer, and people are asking you why would you leave such a good job to chase this pipe dream, you feel like you have a point to prove, and so you're constantly making, so a lot of your decisions are backed by your ego, as opposed to where you, what you need to do. And some process
might come from the fact that it was pretty much within the same industry, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I didn't experience that at all.
Yeah. Well, I think even if it's not within the same industry, you feel like you need to be successful.
Yeah, you need to be successful quick, and you want them to hear your name, and you want them to really recognize that you've done better without them.
Exactly.
And
that's where your ego. That's where your ego comes in, and it's a problem. And it's something that people don't recognize quickly. They confuse it for being driven, and they confuse it for being focused. But the truth of the matter is, like this billionaire said, I'll remember his name in a minute, please pardon me, Warren Buffett. He said that if you get 10 women pregnant, it doesn't shorten the pregnancy to 9 weeks just because there are 10 of them that are pregnant at the same time.
I'm sure we have a version of this in local parlance.
I'm sure we do, but I don't know it. Well, yeah, he said something like that. So I'm paraphrasing here. But essentially, the process is the process, and the journey is the journey.
Absolutely.
And it's important to understand that the purpose of the journey is the journey itself.
Yeah.
So entrepreneurship, there's no such thing as the end of entrepreneurship, or the end of, if you are career driven and you want to achieve different things in your life, there's no such thing as this is the end, I've achieved it and I'm going to lie down.
There's always another mountain to climb. And it's also possible that from intrapreneurship you go into entrepreneurship. You can also go back into entrepreneurship. There really isn't anything set in stone that says you must do this and you must finish on this line and that's the way it's going to be. Otherwise, you're not really truly living your best life.
Exactly. And what is important in this life is to live it. Life must be lived. And I think the other thing that is important is the impact that you make wherever you are. So if you're an entrepreneur, then the important thing to do is to suck in as much knowledge as you can, and then pass down the knowledge, inspire young people.
Yeah.
Some people may not want to follow in your footsteps. Don't discourage them, encourage them, teach them what you know, and help them to start on their own in the outside world and achieve their full potential. And then if you choose to go into entrepreneurship as well, you need to understand that entrepreneurship, the universe favors entrepreneurship when entrepreneurship favors the human race.
Yeah.
So whatever you do, if it does not favor humankind, if it doesn't make life better,
humanity,
if it doesn't add value to your fellow man,
if it's not addressing a problem,
yes,
then you really need to rethink.
You need to rethink the
because that sort of business idea is short-lived, to be honest. COVID has taught us a lot of things. It has shown us a lot of things. It has separated the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. A lot of people have had to go back and rethink their business ideas. I, for one, have had to go back to rethink my business idea. And it's not such a bad thing to have something that doesn't should I say, save the whole world, you know, when nobody is saying you have to save the entire world, but just sort of light up your corner, you know, and create value, even if it has to do with job creation. The business idea itself doesn't have to particularly be a save the world idea. It doesn't have to be a COVID cure, you know, but at least you are feeding mouths, you are educating people, you are creating capacity, you know, and those are the things that I think are important, because those are the things that are long lasting, because those things get passed on. And once you are able to sort of generate that zeal, that culture of selflessness in terms of, you know, serving your fellow man and enriching your fellow man, then, hey, you know, it continues, and you're paying it forward.
Yes. And another thing that is important to note, and this is one of the lessons that we've learned. Let's talk about the lessons.
Let's talk about the lessons
that we've learned. One of the lessons that I've learned that I find it was most important for me is that power is inversely proportional to control.
I would agree.
So the more power you have, the less control you have over who does what.
Guess what? It's always good to have 1% of something huge than 100% of something totally worthless.
That's the way I was going, but okay.
No, that's just my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, so what I mean in essence is that as entrepreneurs, we want to do everything because we, you know, to some extent, a large number of us are perfectionists, and we just feel like nobody can execute it the way you can. We see it in our minds, and you know, nobody can birth your dream the way you want to birth it. But the truth of the matter is, the job of visioning, and the job of planning, and the job of looking ahead and seeing how all these things key in together to help you achieve this objective is a whole.
Okay. I think we're kind of.
Is a lot. So power is inversely proportional to control.
My take is focus on your focus, believe in your idea, believe in your dream, and always look at how better you can make yourself. Because once you yourself are getting better, you resonate that energy with people around you and with your organization and with your team members. And teamwork always makes the dream work.
Yeah, and then nothing in this life that is worthwhile comes without a sacrifice. There are very few things in this life that come without sacrifice. So understand that there will be sleepless nights. It is not an easy road.
Be ready to put in the work.
Put in the work, and know that at the end of the day, what you will reap from it, it may not necessarily be money, because entrepreneurship sometimes.
And guess what? It may not be in your lifetime.
It may not be in your lifetime, but leave a legacy, leave a place brighter than you met it, and you leave brighter than you came. So you need to learn and you need to teach. So it's important that you give as much as you get, if not more than you get, always.
So we hope you have enjoyed this time with us. It's been a pleasure and indeed an honor being given this platform to share our ideas and share our story with you. Incidentally, she's a director in my company and I'm a director in her company.
So we're all up in each other's business.
But we're each other's sounding board, and that's what's important, and that's what makes.
So there's also something. If you're going to start a business, please look for a mastermind group and join. A mastermind group is a group of people who are doing other businesses but are in the business terrain that you can bounce ideas off. They also have mastermind groups in entrepreneurship as well. So people that are in different industries that are similar to you or in the same level as you or in the level that you're aspiring to get to, join a mastermind group and have conversations with them, bounce ideas off them, and just essentially broaden your scope.
Yeah, the internet is your oyster. So thanks so much, guys. And hopefully we'll see you again next time.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.